wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginia. On September 2nd, for the WVU versus Penn State football game, the WolfMan's Call is going to be going live for a pregame at the Pallet Bar in Scott Depot, West Virginia. There'll be 3 ways to watch this. One in person at the Pallet Bar starting at 5 o'clock, and the broadcast will go at 6. Or you can watch it from the WolfMan's Call Network at one of the fine establishments. Or also you can watch it at the Voice of College Football. That's West Virginia's Voice of College Football. If your place, your favorite place, doesn't have it and you want to watch it, tell that proprietor. Go ahead and sign up to the WolfMan's Call Network at wolfmanscall@gmail.com. Again, that's wolfmanscall@gmail.com or at West Virginia VOCFB. You're not going to want to miss the action, and it's all coming to you from the WolfMan's Call. Phil Breakdown, baby. September 2nd, starting at 6 o'clock. Get signed up. Boom! Mountaineer Nation. Yeah, that's right. Can you dig it? I certainly can. That's what it's like. The electricity, the sound, all that, the excitement. First game of the season, going into Happy Valley. Yeah, it's tough up there, but Mountaineers are tough too. Boy, I tell you, the blood just gets boiling. I can guarantee you that the guests coming up here next minute, their blood is boiling watching that too, because they've been there and they understand. And they've also beaten the Nittany Lions before. And what a challenge that is. Boy, I tell you what, man, you know, it's nothing like it when you gear up, you're fired up, and you get the spaceship all fired up, you're ready at a missile, and you're sitting back and you're rock and roll, and then the power goes out. And you're sitting there and you're like, what is going on? And you got to be cool. You got to be cool under pressure. As I told you, the WolfMan's Call, welcome on this fine Tuesday. It's a terrific Tuesday. It's a top dog Tuesday. That's right. And you know why? Because we're going to have Kevin Koken, 1980 team captain and wide receiver 1988. Kelvin Phillips on board. Man, I'm excited. I have not had Kelvin Phillips come on to the WolfMan's Call yet. And I know, man, He's good, man. Very astute. He's very up on it. I follow him all the time, and I listen to what he's saying. And we're gonna have some good stuff here today. But boy, woo! You got to stay cool, man, when the pressure's on, and that's what I'm going to do. So without further ado, let me go ahead and let's get this started here, since we're a little bit late anyways. But Calvin Phillips, what's up, Cal?
What's going on? What's going on, Dale?
How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. Yourself?
Good. The light looks good right there. Very good, man. All right, so cool, man. It's great to have you here, man. And let me just go ahead and get Coke on. What's up, Coke?
Dale, how you doing, man? You ready to go? It's game week.
I was ready to go, man, and everything went. Did you ever see a spaceship? Power goes kaput, and it's like, all right, what am I doing? Well, I got to be cool. I got to be cool for my guests, and I got to be cool for people going. So, with being cool, let's see where we're at here now. We got Kelly, the court. Yes, Kelly, we're back on. Yeah, we did have an issue. Yes, thank you. And of course, my grounds, Calvin. Wow, what a great player! You see that, Cal? They're already on top of it for you, man. Very good. And of course, here we got here. I'm really looking forward to today's program. Well, Timothy, so am I, and I'm glad we're having it. I'll tell you right now, I wasn't sure about a second ago. All right, so very good, gentlemen. Start your engines up. How did you feel? And Kelvin, I'm going to go with you first. How did you feel when you saw that game film right there of Michigan? It was Michigan, but at Happy Valley, at Penn State. What went through your mind, man?
Hey, I'm still boiling from the first time I was in that stadium. I still remember John Talley being the quarterback. Crazy fans, crazy excitement. And you don't understand how crazy it is until you're in that stadium to play. So, man, it's definitely brings some excitement and some real great experiences back.
That's for sure. Coke, what about you, man? I know you were there at least twice.
Yeah, electric, right? Goosebumps. And remember, like Cal just said, man, go back to that first game when we were playing there, and John was in a QB. And I won't bore you with the story, but that's the story where I got my first real meaningful reps coming back from an injury. And that was back in the day with the announcers when you had, oh my gosh, now Keith Jackson and Brody. I mean, that was college football in the 80s. That's excitement.
Yeah. Yes, it was college football. Well, okay. I'll tell you what I remember, man, is I remember Major right next to me. I was the right guard, so okay, he'd be to my left. All right, I got to get it on the other side. He'd be to the left, and I'd be standing there, and he'd be yelling. And we were in the student section because it was right by the end zone, if you recall that. And there's not a darn thing you could hear. Not a darn thing. I mean, the teams that go in there now, Neal Brown going in there now, he's talking about his press conference yesterday. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how you can't hear anything. Like he could say, hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to practice with this noise. And you can only assimilate as best you can. I mean, that's not anyone's fault. You just can't replicate an actual live experience, Cal. Can you?
You can. I think all the times that we sat there and practiced the music blaring and doing all this stuff, it's a different show when you get on that field. It's a different music set. But I tell you what, Will, once the game gets started, you're in your zone, you kind of tune all that stuff out. But being the first time ever playing there, it's going to take a while for them to get their feet underneath them to get started for that game.
Yeah, that's the great advantage, Coke, or disadvantage, advantage, PSU, that the Mountaineers are going to start off because this is a fairly young team. The offensive line has some older guys to it, so that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. In fact, that's a great thing that we're going to have it. But it's tough to communicate, and the way with Yursich, the offensive coordinator, and the issues that the Mountaineers had on defense, although Neal Brown says that they've been addressed, he thinks that they're addressed. So, again, heading into one of the best running teams in the country, and you're saying you're going to play 11 defensive linemen, makes you a little bit nervous, doesn't it?
A little bit, but also I think it gives you a little bit of confidence that we've got some depth and we're going to be able to keep fresh players coming in. Keep in mind, Penn State has got probably the only team in the Big Ten that has 3 800-yard career rushers coming back. And I think there's maybe 10 or 11 in the whole entire country, if that, maybe not even that. But so they're going to have some horses ready to run the ball, and they're going to take that advantage of they got a strong offensive line. They got all 3 horses in the backfield. You got a new quarterback there. Okay, he'll figure things out probably. So bringing in our fresh front all the time is going to be able to free up our back guys to come up, play strong, and play tough. So I think that's an advantage. You flip it to the other side, Dale. You talk about offensive line experience, and it gets loud. Like Calvin said, it gets a little crazy, but when you're synced up front, and me and you were there right next to each other, right? When you're synced up, and Zach Frazier coming in with 34 starts. He's played in Texas. He's played in Texas multiple times. He's played in Oklahoma. He's going to help center those other guys on top of the rest of the starters. I mean, we've got some of the most starts of any offensive line in the entire country. I think it's 4th best or 4th most starts in the entire country in D1. So there are a lot of things in our advantage that we can play into. You yell out to a wide receiver or you give a hand signal or a check and you can change that play. But when the grunts are up front and they're talking on the same page or sensing the right page, that's a huge advantage that we have going in against a tough Penn State defense.
Well, you have to look at this Penn State defense, Cal, and they're returning 9. In fact, Neal Brown said in his press conference yesterday that they're too deep. They have 9, in his opinion, and he's being conservative, 9 draft choices on defense, starting with Kalen King, the cornerback, first round draft pick, starting with defensive end 44. I think it's Chop Robinson. There's just as player after player after player. They're junior and seniors. I think the only guy that's a sophomore is the middle linebacker, who may be their best pure. Well, King's a pure athlete, but for a linebacker, certainly the best athlete. But a defensive line and a defensive front that, you know what, they held, Cal, listen to this, man. They held 12 of 13 teams below their rushing average for the season. 12, okay? They held, let's see here, 9 opponents to less than 100 rushing yards. Woo! I mean, you're talking about the matches of power. You're talking about a defense, and that's Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator. If you remember, he was defensive coordinator in Texas before he was up there. That was his father. Excuse me. That was his father, Diaz. But he was, of course, the head coach of Miami. But now he's a coordinator. He likes to have fun. He likes to blitz. Now, what do you think of that, Cal? What do you think when you have an offensive line with the 4th most starts and a brand new quarterback?
So I think that it's going to be a tough task, but I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, I'm going to go with the Mountaineers every time. I think if we stay on the offense, we stay consistent, we mix up the play, we throw here, we pass here, some play action, and we don't get away from the run, and we don't get away from the pass. I think we have a great chance. And we have to give them every ammunition possible to win this game. You can't go in and something stops 2 or 3 times and we get away from it. Play calling is going to be a must here, and we have to come out. The way I looked at it, Coach Neal, the way Coach Neal taught us, we played the game on Monday, not Saturday. So they have to have been prepared and ready for this, assignment-free, mistake-free. And I still will put my money on the Mountaineers every time.
All right, so you'd put your money at the Mountaineers at 20.5-point underdogs.
I'm a Mountaineer. I'm going with the Mountaineers.
All right, man. Hey, this is the WolfMan's Call. We love it, man. It's all opinions vary, and it's awesome. I'm glad you are, man. Your loyalty is exceptional when it comes up here to Happy Valley and all of that together. Okay, so really, let's look at the strengths here. And I'm thinking about this. Coke, you know, when a team like Penn State, I had Coach Bradley. He was a defensive coordinator he's with Penn State. There's no other coach that coached longer at Penn State than Coach Bradley except for Joe Paterno. Okay, Scrap was there as a GA. He was there for 33 years, 12 of those years as defensive coordinator. Okay, he came in and he said, Wolf, and they have some really good football players up there in Penn State, and maybe it's not just so much it's the stadium, maybe it's not so much the crowd, maybe it's not so much the noise, maybe it's just the football players. And he's right; they have a higher level of total package, do they not?
They do. With Penn State, you've got the tradition that follows, right? And I'm with Cal, and always blue and gold, and the tradition that we have, but it's just a little bit different, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you like it or not. So you get a little of that pedigree probably changes a little bit when somebody says, "Well, Penn State." Hats off to them, and certainly if you look at their record versus us. They probably deserve a little bit of that kudos, but that doesn't mean we're not going to jump up and bite them. And being called the underdog this year, I think is our number one advantage going into the game.
Yeah, there's no doubt we are the underdog, and there's no doubt that West Virginia traditionally has performed much better being the underdog than being the dude's picked to be the guy. For some odd reason, we go out there, but we're picked to be in that. We think we're in or something. I don't know, but we're not all there at the game time. So I'm so happy we are underdogs, and there's no doubt about it. But Cale, it's like this, man. And again, this is no slap on anybody. Penn State's a blue blood team. It's got the history. It's got the tradition. It's got the numbers of people, the population. When you can fit 106,000 people in a stadium each and every week for home games, that's pretty amazing. Those are a lot of resources. How do you battle resources like that and try to go in up there and win?
I think what happens first is it starts on that recruiting trail. As much national attention as we can get on television, we perform well, we can get more recruits coming in. Penn State has that history. They have that notoriety. And so we're still trying to get to that point. But I think each time we put on that blue and gold and we go on national television and we do a good showing, I think that brings more top recruits. I looked at Neal Brown. He has a couple, 4 or 5 stars there, some 4 stars. So if we continue to play well and we continue to show good on the national stage, I think we will start to kind of like creep into that national notoriety also.
Okay. Well, it can only go up, right? Right now, I mean, the problem is, Cal, is we've had that. We have been there and done that. And we have risen up this program. And I'm not saying me, I'm not saying you, but in general, throughout the years and the teams, playing for a national championship. You guys did. I did it as well with you. Okay, played for a national championship. We lost, but that was the only time the school's ever been there. So with all that being said, now, where do you see the perception of the Mountaineers right now?
Well, based on the last 4 years and going into, I think, Coach Neal Brown, 4th year, the perception is not good. And I can't say if the players or coaches, we're just not making it happen when we're on the national stage. And sometimes, I mean, I can tell you now, Wolf, Daryl Whitmore and I watch each game. We talk when we're watching the games. We go back and forth. Sometimes they're not prepared when they're on the field. It sometimes seems like that Mountaineer defense is not there, that, play every snap. So it's a lot, I think, a combination of preparedness and saying, we're ready to go into this game, and you got to think you're going to win, feel like you're going to win. So I think there's a lot of things that have played the role in us not being successful lately.
Yeah, that's for sure, no doubt. And it's great points, Cal. And it's how you say about Daryl Whitmore. What's up, Whit? Man, we got to get him on the show too. What a superstar that guy was too for us. Boy, did we miss him on defense, huh? And that Fiesta Bowl game, the national championship, because he got hurt in the Syracuse game. All right, Coke. So what Cal just said, I mean, you have to go with 100%. But how does the Mountaineers, when they think about it, they haven't been prepared. But Neal Brown is in preseason. He's addressed these issues head on. To his credit, He said, hey, you know what? We couldn't get it lined up last year in defense. We couldn't do this on defense. We couldn't tackle. Lord knows we couldn't tackle. How many times we saw that. But, he says we're addressing it. We're tackling now. You heard Dante Wright, the safeties coach, saying, hey, man, we're tackling machine now. We're tackle calloused, according with Jordan Leslie. Last year was the greatest athletic defensive backfield that they'd seen in camp, but now this year they're tackled callous.
Yeah. It's hard to say, Dale. And, when you look at and watching Coach Brown over the last couple of years and, came in and really laid some things out there that I thought really played well. And for whatever reason, it just didn't go his way. Whether maybe some of the coaching staff wasn't doing their job the right way, or the players weren't respecting, or people were too worried about the pandemic in Morgantown. I have no idea. So, and we talked a lot last year during the season, in all the pregame shows and the different things that we did. So I wanted to pay real close attention to what Neal Brown was doing in the offseason, and a couple of steps that he was taking as a leader, owning up responsibility, being confident in the responses of we're addressing it. Yes, we screwed up this, or we didn't do this. And he's confident in his responses. He is more out there this year, stepping out as a leader than he has been over the last 2 years. And maybe that's because he feels backed up against the wall. And I think we can all agree that he is backed up against the wall. But that's when people become most dangerous. And it appears right now that he is stepping up and owning it. He is stepping up and saying what he's done to address it specifically. Not like, hey, we're getting better. But he's specifically addressing that. But he's also approaching everything with a lot more confidence than he has in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I think that's a change. Something happened. Was it the Ren Baker effect? Maybe. Maybe it was something else happened. I have no idea. But I see that change coming out of the head coach's office. And that's what I'm really excited for when you put that with the talent. And we've got a lot of really good talent across the board in all three phases of the game. So now you have a coach who's owning it, leading it, and saying it. I think it's going to translate to the players. And, Cal, I might not bet. I probably would bet. I bet that we're going to win. Absolutely, I bet, right? But even if we don't win on the scoreboard, there can be a ton of victories that we walk away with in a close ball game. And that's what we really got to watch what happens over the next, 5 days. And that'll tell us how the rest of the season is going to go.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, because you hit on it, Coke, I want to get into that as well. But, Cal, I want your response. What is your response about Neal Brown? I know you were not happy, in the past couple seasons, which nobody was. So you're no different from any other Mountaineer faithful. But, what did you see with Neal Brown? Did you see the same thing Coke did, or are you just looking at a different lens?
Dale, we all want to win. Every game we want to win. But I was a Neal Brown guy before he got there. I watched him at Troy, watched him at other places. And I think every coach should get their 4 years because that's their class. I just believe that it just hasn't worked out for him for some reason, like Coach said. I also look at, did he inherit a group of guys that he was not coachable at the time, would not committed to what the coaches wanted. So I look at all of that. There were some games where play calling played a major role. There were some games where I believe that they did not play the Mountaineer type football, defense or offense. I think that's what really upset former players when we can watch from afar and say, this is not the Mountaineer way. This is not how we play. We played between the lines. We hustled to the end, 60 minutes. And sometimes we just didn't see that. And that equates to the coaches ill prepared for the game, not assignment free. So there were a lot of things, and I'm happy to see that he is definitely owning up to this. But it is going to be time to now say, hey, we need to see some productivity, and this is the year we want to see those productivity.
Is this the year that we become Missouri, the show me state? Koken. And Cal, you're 100% spot on in my view. In my view, all right, this is a WolfMan's call, man. This is we're putting it out there because we tell the truth, and you laid it out there about as basically as you can. It looked like the coaches will. I mean, if you looked at that Kansas game, and Coke, I'm going to come back to you with that Missouri. All right, don't forget about it because I'll forget. I'll get the stuff. It'll go out of my head. But when you looked at that Kansas game, if that was the worst prepared anything I've ever seen as a Mountaineer ever in the 40 years I could think of being ill prepared and how to stop and confused. I mean, Coke, what do you think about that? And then tell me about the show me state.
I'm really doing this year and last year. Yeah, you're right. Ill prepared, but I'm turning over my new Mountaineer hat. I'm going to forget about last year.
Okay.
Because I just said Coach Brown has changed.
Amnesia. All right, that's okay. You know what? I'm doing a lot of that myself, but at the same time, we have to go through this and hold accountable, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Are you Missouri right now? You show me?
This is it. This is the year. Show me. And I'm getting more juiced up the more we talk here. Cal's getting me all fired up. The show me stat, I love it. Right, we're backed up against the wall. The coach is backed up against the wall, and what's next for him? The team is backed up against the wall. Picked last in the Big 12. Zero respect from anyone, anywhere, on any level. Outside of we've got some candidates on some watch lists and some preseason All-American lists, and I think is it 3 linemen picked in the Big 12 preseason, but yet we're picked 12th.
First thing.
You got C.J. Donaldson, we're going to hand the ball off, and he's going to truck you, right? And they say, and you're going to be last. Well, I'm not buying that, and this will be the year for us to show it. So everything in the past, okay, we learned from our mistakes. Hindsight's 20/20, all that. Let's go forward, and let's focus on supporting our team, supporting our coaching staff, and making it happen. And this is the show me year. I guarantee it.
All right, excellent. All right, Kelvin, I want to continue on now because Coach just brought up some good stuff about, perception, man. I had a whole show yesterday about WVU perception, academic cuts, with Frank Fair and all those guys, academic cuts affecting recruiting and being 14th. There's even such a poll that an organization that usually puts out good stuff. I'm not going to name it because they usually do good stuff, but they came up with 8 national analysts. Now, these analysts are probably 21-year-olds right out of college, right? All right, but anyways, 8 national analysts that said that WVU was 14th in the Big 12. That means last in potential recruiting. Okay? That, you know what the poll was based on? It was based on perception. Perception. It wasn't based on any facts. But that's the perception of WVU. Neal Brown's the 14th worst coach in the Big 12. Okay? The team's the 14th worst team in the Big 12. This is behind Dana Holgorsen and the Houston Cougars. Okay, this is behind other teams that are just coming in, Cincinnati. Then you got 14th quarterbacks. Garrett Green's the 14th best quarterback in the Big 12. It's just a time. It's a rip on WVU time. There's only one guy in the whole media standing up for WVU, and that's Pat McAfee. And half the time, I think it's a joke that he's doing. I mean, honestly, I really think he's like betting this because him and Kirk Herbstreit, making fun of it, all that. But, Cal, I'm going to ask you this, man. Do you think it's funny when Herbstreit and those guys are joking about the honor of WVU winning 6 games?
There's 2 things we just talked about. Coke mentioned a couple of them. You mentioned show me state and the perception of how we've looked over the last 4 years. And the perception is very negative. I have friends of mine, the perception is you'll win 6 games, you'll win 3 games. Until we perform at our top and we are consistent, and I think we haven't been consistent in a while on the field, and this is consistent with recruits, consistent with game strategies, we will be looked at as that 14th, the laughing stock. Kirk, he's always put us as the underdog. I think the perception is there, but I believe that this year, I think we're going to see a different Mountaineer team. And so we can't stop the chatter on the outside. We can only take care of business in the inside of the team. And I just hope, and I'm just looking forward, like Coke is saying, hope that we put out something positive and something productive.
Well, you know what? And I think we all are feeling that, and we're all hopeful. But again, it's like you have to show me. You have to go through all that. And I also want to, say, hey, did you address the problem with the preparedness, meaning with the coaches? I'm gonna say I've said this before, so this is nobody's gonna say, hey, Wolf, what are you doing? If I had a defense that was last in the Big 12 in points, okay, last year, last 115th in total defense, just awful and totally, I would have let somebody go just to show my team that's not acceptable. All right, on a coaching staff, not to blame any one person, but I would have said, you know what, that's what happens when you don't win is you don't stay here because that's who we are. All right, so I'm still concerned. Not about defense, not about better talent as much, but I'm concerned about whether or not this coaching staff will have these guys ready. Whether or not that when these teams come rolling in, that they will not give up 55 points to Kansas. Cal, go ahead.
I would have said that a while back. That I would have used someone as a scapegoat, one of the coaches, just to show. But I think right now, Coach Brown's in a position where no matter if he gets rid of coaches or not, if he can't win games, they're going to get rid of him. And I think that's where they are. This is crazy to say that they're coming in as a team, as a coaching squad, and they may leave together as a coaching squad if they can't get this thing together. I just think that right now they're just locked into what they have, and they're going to have to put out a good performance and a good team. If not, I just don't see them there next year.
All right. Did you see this here by Brad Cooper, Cal? Somebody's remembered he could close his eyes, man. See that big one? Good for you. Kudos. Hey, Coke, we got people here. They're all over Cal, man. I don't know what's going on with you. That's what happens when you're center in the offensive line.
I mean, you're right. Nobody gives that respect up front. Now, just kidding. We get a lot of respect up front, and I'll tell you, that's why I'm going to continue to lean into our offense this year. It's those guys up front and what's going to happen, right? So Coach Brown, does he have something to prove? Absolutely. And I think he's going to ride the horses up front, and that's what's going to make it happen. The media and Kirk Herbstreit and all those guys and Pat McAfee. Well, it's clickbait, right? So all the bullies are out there saying, well, WVU, they've been down. Let's just keep putting them down. Let's just keep banging them down. Well, that's where people get stronger. I said it earlier, you back into a corner. Coach Brown backed into a corner. He wants to win. He's going to win. He's going to figure out, and he's going to make the changes that made him successful in previous jobs. The players are going to relish on that. The players are going to realize that, and they're going to come together like we haven't seen in the last couple of years. The right mix, the right players, the right team. I'm getting more pumped as we go on here. Even with all these props going out to Cal, that's good. He was fast. He could catch the ball. Major had a cannon.
Coach, wide receivers, they always get the prop. But Coach, Wolf, I'm gonna say something. I just think about Coach Brown. I think Coach Brown's a great coach, and before he came to West Virginia, I thought he was a great coach. And you just don't all of a sudden just lose that. And so, like we're saying, this year is going to be that year. He's going to have to really go back to being one of the elite coaches and really let it go. And because he's in a situation now, his back is against the wall, and he might well just go ahead and try to come out and just everyone attack mode on everything.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. This is the most impressive thing to me and I heard this through the back channels. I can't say it's 100% correct because I didn't hear it directly from Neal's voice. Okay, and Cal, you talk about Troy. When Coach Brown came up here, man, I was on the radio show with him for 3 years. I stood in that table. I believed in him. Okay, it's not that I don't believe in him anymore. It's the fact that, but he's got to show it. He's got to win. He's just got to win because it's that time. It's when you're getting paid that type of money, it's that time. But the thing that I'm really fired up about, and to be quite honest with you about Neal Brown, and I've been hiding this in my heart, just right in my heart. I've been hiding it in here. I've been tucking it real close, what they say, close to the vest, right? Real close to the vest. And that is, he's like, you know what? Shane Lyons, I can vouch for this 100% correct, that made Neal Brown that 2 years ago go ahead and get a new offensive coordinator and say, you need a coach. You don't need to be the OC anymore. Right? Well, this year, and kudos to Ren Baker for letting it go on, but Neal saying, screw y'all. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging. And that means I'm calling the plays, and that means that I'm doing things the way I did things at Troy. I really feel that the situation that Neal's been under for 4 years has not been all his influences, that he's had to deal with some outside upper management, if you know what I mean, mingling into his football program. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to dive deeper because then I would go into specifics that I'm not prepared to say that's 100% correct, and I won't do that. But I do know there's been some things that have really kind of made it tough. He's done it himself a lot. Okay, there's things he's done, but there's also some other mingling in from upper management. Say Shane Lyons. I think not only the reason that why he's gone is because of Country Road's trust and trusting. I think he screwed up a lot and dealing with Neal. I'll say it flat out. Neal Brown, I think Shane Lyons screwed up a lot. Not a lot, enough to make it hurt Neal Brown. All right, I'm just gonna say it. So it's not all on Neal Brown, in my opinion. But I am gonna say, all right, is that Neal Brown admitting there's been issues, and I mean, golly, Coke, didn't we say that last year on the pregame? They're like, dude, we called it out straight, and probably had a lot of people getting a little bit pissed. I know, Kale, there are a lot of people that were like, you were pretty vocal as well last year, as many were, because as you said, we were tired of them not performing the way. It's not about winning. It wasn't even then. It was about not wanting to look like you want to win, not doing the things necessary to win, not jumping off sides on the 2-yard line 3 times in the same tight end. Okay, I tell you what, hey Coke, if you jumped off sides on the 2-yard line, I know you're the center, but even still, if you did that, and what would Jake do to you? I mean, let's face it. After one time, all right, he would let you get away. But if you did it twice, what would he do? He'd throw your ass right out of the game.
He would, and he'd make you run the next day, the stadium steps.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, and he'd be pissed off because you made him get up out of bed that early.
and Dale, you're saying some very important stuff. That came down from Coach Neal. We were disciplined. We knew that you screw up twice, you're going to be sitting on the sideline with the coaches. That was something that Coach Neal, and a lot of us didn't like that until after we realized what he was teaching us. Coach Neal was a great person, great coach. I didn't know that until after I left. 18 years old, I thought I was everything and knew everything. But I learned later on that Coach Neal taught us about life as a football player, taught us how to play the game, play it right. You play every down. You don't cheat a down. You don't cheat your teammate, because the person on the next side of you work as hard as he is. You protect him. I don't see that from the Mountaineers. And that's what I'm talking about, Mountaineer football, because Coach Neal, he taught us to take care of each other. We play the game hard, but play it fair. Don't cheat the game or cheat the coaches. And I think that just comes from the leadership, and that's Coach Brown. He has to be the leader, and he has to get the team prepared for Saturdays.
And that's why, Coke, I say the buck stops with him, regardless of who's influenced or what has happened, or if agents have come in and said, transfer portal, you can go make money here in Miami, we're doing all this. He's still got to be that guy running the program, and he still has to be responsible. So, with that being said, I'm going to just give this to both of you guys before we move on to different subjects. All right, Neal Brown, if he wins, let's say, 8 games, but even if he wins 7 games. But, man, they played at Penn State. They played good. Man, the losses that they lose to are losses when you see them playing Mountaineer football of hard nose, tough nose, being disciplined. But they lost because maybe they're just not quite, because they're a young team to begin with, right? They don't have a lot of seniors on the team, not a lot of juniors. All right. So if they do go ahead, and I'm not even saying give me a number of how many wins, but if you see that kind of improvement, are you on board with Neal Brown staying? No, I'm going first.
Who's going first, me or Cal?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, put it on the upfront guys. Now, he stays. So, and I'm at 2 reference points. Number one, it was very easy for Kentucky to kick out Stoops. How long did it take him to really shape that program and get Kentucky on track, right? So you got to show confidence. How do you build a brand? You allow people a little bit of slack. You get there. They get there this year. Now you're going to talk about the brand for the next 2, 3, 4 years and changing that perception. You get rid of, if it's a solid year and things have changed and you get rid of Neal Brown, everything starts all over again, right? So we've got to create stability for the existing players, for our fans, and for the future of recruiting, and you can't continue to have a turnstile.
All right. Kel, I'm throwing it right at you. Same thing.
I'm on board with Koken here. If we can get 6, 7 games, bowl appearance, he stays. To me, it's all about consistency. This is how we get our recruits. We're young, and we can build off of that. But if we get 6, 7 wins in a bowl game, yeah, he stays.
All right. Okay. Flip it around. Coke, when does he leave?
When, you mean, like, does it happen in mid-season if something happens?
Hey, what do you see?
Sure.
You say
So I think everyone has to show that support and continuity for the players. Right now, does that mean a change may happen in midseason because the wheels completely fall off and there's bad decisions and bad losses? That's when we have to make a stand, right? Ren has to make a stand because it's about the kids. The kids, they're all young adults now. They're not kids anymore. They're kids to us old guys. But you gotta do something to support them, and we can't. If the wheels come off, you can't let it go, because that actually has the exact opposite on the program and on the recruiting class, because all everybody will remember is the wheels fell off and the administration didn't support, the administration didn't make a change, the coaching staff didn't make a change. Why would I want to go there?
All right. What about you, Cal?
I'm going to probably go a different route. If the wheels just completely fall off, just because it's Mountaineers, I think that they will let it go to the end of the year. Now, with that, you sacrifice recruits and you sacrifice everything else. But I'm hoping that if someone sees that it totally goes, plummet, that they're going in a new direction and maybe they can be someone who can help the program. But I think if the wheels fall off, that they do give them to the end of the year.
All right.
Now, that may not happen, but that's my thing.
Yeah, it's very good. Both of you, very good points. And the only thing I'm going to add to that is, listen, there's got to be a grown-up in the room somewhere. There's got to be a grown-up. And I'm not saying it's Dale Wolfman by any means.
Just not this room. Not this room.
There's got to be a grown-up there to make decisions, because the perceptions of now, could be changed tomorrow by moves today. Follow me now. The Big Two's coming. You got Fox and Big Ten. You got SEC, ESPN. Conferences are changing left and right. If your perception is you're 14th here, you're 14th there, 14th everywhere, and I'm talking Big 12, then you have to make changes today. And I'm not saying today. You know what I'm saying about this year. Changes today that affect tomorrow, because if you suck when those changes come around, you're going to get left out. You've got to get left out. As much as I like Neal Brown as a person, there's got to be an adult, Ren Baker. There's got to be an adult bow tie, One of them's going to have to sit there and say, listen, we have to move forward, because the time and the opening is getting tighter and tighter. I guess you could say, it's closing right now is the opportunities. And if we're in this opportunity right now with Big 12, and I'm not saying 2 years from now, 3 years, it's coming to Big 10, SEC. They're going to make the super league. And if WVU wants to be anywhere near that and not become irrelative, then they're going to have to go ahead and make changes and start winning. Because you can win at WVU. I don't believe you can. Dana went 10-2. Dana did some things there. He could have done a lot of things better. If we get a coach in here that has that, and it could be Neal. So if it's Neal, then let's keep going with Neal, and we keep building it. I agree with the whole Stoops. I agree with all of that analogy of that. So again, that could happen, but he's got to win. Just got to win. I mean, you look at it, how you want to talk about relevancy, okay? You look at SMU, the one that got killed the most of all time in college football, and right now is saying we'll go 5 years without payment from TV money. Now, they got the money to back it up because they got a bunch of oil people down there, okay? Back it up with Barbara Bush. We all understand that. But they're saying we'll go 5 years to jump in the ACC, and you don't have to pay us. That's how desperate they are for relevancy. West Virginia cannot afford to fall down that trail of being irrelevant. Am I right or wrong? Go ahead. Take a shot at me.
Absolutely agree. And that comes, to some degree, Dale, you hit it, the adult in the room, and that the adult will have to make a decision one way or another, regardless of what plays out. But you got to have, I'll call it the corporate courage, right? You get assigned a job, you either perform well, figure out how to perform well, or be held accountable. Ren Baker now in that job, it's what, 10 months, 9 months, something like that. That's where we really got to land into. And I think he's the right, I believe he's the right guy that's going to help make those decisions and support the program, right? Let's forget about a coach in any of the sports, support the program that's best for the university and best for our student athletes.
No doubt. Go ahead, Kel. You get your shot at me.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys. We can't get to that point where we're irrelevant because now it loses all. And I just hate to be the adult in the room to have to make that decision. And I think the decision will be made based on the coach, the team performance, how they win, how they lose. They may lose a couple of games and they may play well, or they may lose a couple and play terrible. Those will be the defining moments. If they go out and they just stink up the field, I can just see a change coming. But we definitely can't become irrelevant anywhere because we don't have the backing like some of the other Texas schools and some of these other schools.
No doubt. Coke, as you see, Mike Rollins, I left this up for you so you can see more than that, right? I left it up. Okay, I'm taking it down now. I had to wait through Kel to get done to interrupt them. But as you can see here, we got anyone that has any questions about what we're talking about right now. You say the center's the key for the whole offense. Beautiful. Coke's going to agree with that one. You could go ahead. Say, I think we have us a good athletics regular. Shane Lyons hurt WVU. Okay. I think I've said my piece about that. And then we go ahead and say, Brad Cooper, consistency, accountability, stability. Wow, 3 words. Huge, right? It's not just how you build your team on a yearly basis. It's how you build that program bigger and better over time. All right, excellent. And let's see, Kelly, what you got to say, buddy? Then we lose the first 3 games, they might let Neal go. Okay. If you lose to Duquesne, I think he's gone before he hits Penn. I'll just be honest with you, but that's cool. I agree with you. And hey, Mike, you say I'm completely right. You're darn right I'm right. I have no idea what you're referring to, but I'm saying I'm right. All right, gentlemen. Now listen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave that alone and appreciate it. And we're going to say we got to be hard-nosed, man. That's what we got to do. If you're going to go up to Penn State, if you got any chance to win, you better play physical, you better play hard, and you better play smart, right? We all agree to that, correct?
Yep.
All right. Now, you guys didn't know what you're going to get in for because I got a couple doozies here for you. I'm going to start you out easy. All right, but we're going to watch a couple videos here. And this is Tim Brandel talking about the AP Top 25. I played it one other time on the show here, but I want to get your viewpoint of this.
It's nothing more than a starting grid for the elite brand names in college football so they can make sure that they get the same damn 4 teams in the same damn bogus college football playoff that we've had to deal with since 2014. It's a joke. It's a crock. And the fact that legitimate media, I heard Ralph Russo today a little bit talking about, well, there's all these blue bloods. Well, why are all these blue bloods in there? Because you want them in there. That's why they're there.
Oh, yeah. Now, what do you think about that? Cal, you start first. He's saying to get the reason the top 25 of the AP is to make sure that the blue bloods get into the college football playoffs at the end of the season. What say you?
Tim Brando, for him to say that, I totally agree with that. I never thought I could hear someone come out and say it, but it's just the same 4 teams, or they figure out how to get them in there. So is it about the money? I've always thought it was about the money. I've heard someone say it that's been there. I totally agree with them.
All right, Coke.
Yeah, dead on. It's clickbait, man. It's what the media wants to put it out there for what they want. They want to play out in the year. Now, you watched the college playoffs or the rankings the other day on game day, and they got their picks and they got their reasons to support it. But I mean, really, they were all the exact same teams, maybe in a little bit different sequence, and those teams are good. But nobody picked a couple of teams last year in the Final Four either.
Yep, that's right. I think you're referring to one San Diego State possibility right there. Okay, so this is cool. I think both of you guys might like this. WVU AD Ren Baker, who I won't say, I have to come out and say it. I do not agree with everything he's done thus far, but I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a classy guy, and I think he's got good intentions. So right there, give him credit. You can't always be, didn't even know what he was signing up for this year when he took over West Virginia, the issues. So, we're going to give him just a total, we might just wipe away the whole first year and say that's a wash. But anyways, Ren Baker says he told Heather Lake, Pitt's AD, not only does he want to pursue the backyard brawl, but he wants to pursue the backyard brawl, I should say, in football, but he wants to pursue it in all sports. But now's the time is my argument. Conferences are doing rescheduling right now. Everything's up in the air. Now's the time. If you're going to get a year-in, year-out rivalry, this would be the time to get Pitt. Coke, what do you say?
100%. 100% agree with you, especially that game. And what that brings to, I'll call the region, right? West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky. What it brings in that battleground, it's incredible. It's a when you can drive 72 miles to watch it, it could be a home. Well, last year in Pittsburgh, it was a home game for WVU. Uh-huh. And the excitement that brings, and I think we're going to see that same thing on against Penn State, right? That rivalry, that close proximity rivalry is what really drives attendance, excitement, recruiting wars, and recruiting victories.
Cal, I bet you the media coverage, the viewing coverage will be one of the tops of the day. Probably because that night doesn't hurt. It's Penn State for sure. But it's a rivalry. It's an old school, old-time game that was a year in and year out. I still think that people our age miss.
Coke is 100% on it, and Dale, you're 100% on it also. These are the big rivalries. These are the relevant rivalries that we need to have for Morgantown and West Virginia. You're talking Penn State, Pitt, and don't forget Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. These are the great rivalries that we want to see, and they're relevant. I think we're 100%. If we hit this, it's a home run.
Yep, you're right. And the fact that they say West Virginia is a small media market, which I don't believe is much because of the Mountaineer Nation spreading across state lines. But why was the Pitt game the biggest Thursday night game watched in 5 years? You know what I mean? It's like West Virginia's always shines. I'm not saying it's the top game, messing with Notre Dame's, all that crap, but it's up there. So when you say for TV and viewer watchability, West Virginia gets a lot. Maybe not so much the last couple of years. I don't know how that's gone, but we always have traditionally. Last year, man, I know that was the best Thursday night game in 5 seasons. All right, so that's number one. All right, we'll move on. Keep moving on here as we go along. It's got to get a little tougher after this next one. All right. Okay. So, hey, Milan Pushkar Stadium and Calacino, should we go ahead and name it for money? He's saying to win, Red Baker's saying to win, you need to raise money. One of those ways is naming rights for the stadium, naming rights for the Coliseum. What say you, Cal?
Okay. I'm into nonprofits, so now I truly believe in putting your name on things, and that is a brand that's moving forward. I think it makes sense to do it.
All right.
It's a revenue tool, and I think a lot of people who have money like to put their names on things. So if that helps us, I think we go ahead and move in that direction.
What you, Coke?
I agree with Cal. I think we've got to be really smart about who that alignment is. I get it. It's big money, but there's some names that just might not align with Mountaineer Nation. Right. So I think we got to do it. We got to do it smart and think about it as a brand, and the brand for West Virginia, the state of West Virginia, and the brand for the university and how we go forward.
All right, very good. I agree with you. I think you should name every single thing you can if there's money behind it. All right, because it's that way in the world. And John Hardesty, you can always name it the Wolfman. All right. And he's like, yeah, right. Okay, moving on. All righty. This is going to have some fun here. This is good. All right, I like this one. It's going to show up. Here we go. All right. Will Greer's audition is over. Quarterback. He got released by the Cowboys based off his performance Saturday night. He will get a chance at their team. 29 of 35 pass completions, 305 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 53 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs. Koken, it's your turn. What do you say? What say you? Is Will Grier good enough to be in the NFL?
2 words. Absolute stud.
All right. Is that it?
Well, you tweeted it the other day, or yesterday, whenever it was, and said he will find a spot. I agree with you, and he's good enough to be a starter, not a backup. Maybe he's going to groom a little bit there, but yeah, absolute stud. I'm going to stick with that.
All right. What are you, Gail?
Dale, this has been probably pissing me off the most when I see former Mountaineers in the NFL. Not only did I look at Will Grier, I look at David Steele, Gary Jennings. These guys are definitely NFL players, and they just have not been given the opportunity. Will Grier, from someone to tell you that you're not going to be with us, goes out and performs. This is a professional. This is a great person. He just have not been given a chance. I think he's definitely he's better than a lot of backup quarterbacks I've seen in the league, and somewhere he could start.
Oh, hang on. Check this out right here.
How'd you feel about tonight? Obviously, a really good performance for you.
Yeah, we won the game. I told you this is the one thing we hadn't done. Yeah, mixed emotions. But I thought it went well.
What was kind of your mindset coming into tonight, knowing that it's kind of a show and tell game for you, but also it's a bittersweet moment for you?
Yeah, bittersweet, man. I just close with a lot of these guys. That's the hardest part.
Jerry mentioned as he was walking out of the locker room that you were pretty emotional today. What have the last 36 hours been like for you?
It's been tough, but I've been through tougher stuff. Got a lot of respect for this organization and the Jones family. I understand that it's a business at the end of the day, but man, I've been through harder things, and I'll rebound and be just fine.
Whoa. I'll tell you what, fellas, just looking at that, dude's got class. The dude's done a lot of things to be successful. And when people sit there and they just rip on him behind on the computer, it really pisses me off. So Sunday, getting all these a couple of texts saying or tweets saying, you know what, he stinks, he's terrible. A lot worse than that. They were saying, you know, I just blocked him. I didn't even have the patience. I usually give you one chance to screw up, and then if you keep coming back at me, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm just annoyed. You know what? All the work that he's put in, 5 years into the league. Yes, he hasn't been started, but he's not going to get a true shot with Dak Prescott there. You know what I mean? So I think, listen, I think he's still that guy waiting to develop. You know, there's no doubt that the Cowboys' offense is renowned to be the most difficult offense to pick up in the NFL. It is absolutely agreed upon. So, again, I think he's still that guy. I think he could be a Geno in waiting. I'm not saying he's a Geno, but I think he's going to be good. What do I say you, Coke?
Well, I was going to say in one word, Geno.
Well, I mean, that's a great example. But, again, people are saying Will Greer's not as good as Geno. And like, hey, in all respects to Geno, Will Greer is as good as Geno, and he does have an arm. Cal, go ahead. What do you think of that?
I think he is. I think what's the great part about this deal is that we get an opportunity to talk about these former players and teams that, went undefeated. It's great to always be able to talk about the Mountaineers because we don't get that a lot. I think he's right up there with Geno. I think both of those quarterbacks are great quarterback. Geno was able to push through, and I think if Will Greer continues to stay positive, push through, he will land somewhere, and he will be able to show exactly the type of quarterback that he is.
Yep. And as I always say, one thing I can always get out of it, time will always tell. It's always the truth. There. Okay, now here we go. So this is where it's gonna get a little greasy. This is what to work this up. Kel, I don't want to see you sweating over there now. Hang on.
It's a team in Alabama, okay, named Jacksonville State.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a covering machine this year.
Yep. Oh, yeah. For sure.
It is going to be the team that we need to keep our eyes on because that guy right there, a little bit of an axe to grind, a lot of spite,
sure.
And still coaches football the exact same way. Smallest school in D1A. This is their first year up in D1A, also known as FCS, as opposed to FBS, is how Reese Davis explained it all, which makes sense, obviously. But you get it. The highest level, this school's there. They play hard.
Oh, yeah.
They're fast. And they beat UTEP as underdogs, and I think this is going to be a trend all year. Then you think about Caleb Williams, what he was able to do, man. Sam Hartman, what he was able to do.
All right, so you get the point there. Rich Rodriguez is re-emerging. All right, I was down there at Jacksonville State this spring, took the boys down there, wanted to see what Rich was doing, wanted to see. He still coaches like he's 30. He's still as intense, and the reason why I'm saying that is, he's again comes up. He takes care of Jacksonville State. They win their first FBS game. I'm not sure what he's talking about, 1A or whatever, but FBS. He won at UTEP, and he's taking a team that wasn't there before and won. Cal, what do you think about that? Rich Rodriguez, man, taking that team.
Listen, I am a Rich Rodriguez guy. You guys have read on some of my posts. If Neal Brown leaves, I would definitely want Rich Rodriguez to come back. He is a great coach. We all make mistakes. I think that he's a winning coach. And I think, I love him. I think he's good for the game. And you can see where he goes, he wins. And that's all I care about.
You're right about that. What do you say, Coke?
Rich Rod was my roommate during camp my freshman year.
I didn't know that.
So I'm all in on Rich Rod. And he connects with people, and for many years post, me being at WVU, him and I stayed connected, and there were times where literally he would call me up on my cell phone to return a phone call, like in the middle of the night or whatever. So I'm a huge fan. Decisions. I mean, heck, let's look at all of our careers. And are we perfect? We've not been perfect. We've made mistakes. We've done some things along the way. We've probably been up and down a little bit here and there. But his passion, his excitement, his intelligence, it's all there. But I hope the best for him. And I'm pretty sure he's going to probably drive to some of the best.
Hey, Cal, you see that right there, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I'm the one who posts this, but if you notice this, and I'm going to just keep going through this, you can watch it. Okay, you're going to see this. There's Big Dicks, man. There's Skippy Fuller. You can see, the guys that are on the team. I was just trying to get guys to the team. These are guys that
be a team
that played with him that like him. You know what I'm saying? It's his former players. What do the players know, Cal, that not just you being a former player and knowing Rich and being a teammate, but his players, the ones that played under him and the majority love him. What is that to be said? Why can't some of us forgive this dude?
Dale, I think what it is that if you never played the game and you've never been around him, people know that Rich is there for them. They know that he will run through a wall for them. Those are things you don't get to see if you've never been around him. He's a genuine person when he's talking to you. He's going to show you compassion. He's going to show you that, hey, listen, we're going to make mistakes, but we got to bounce back. So if you've never been around him, you don't know that. You just, everything you see in the paper or you hear about him, you form these opinions and you don't get to know the person. And I think his former players, and he was a senior when I was a freshman, treated us all the same. And I just think that we have to sometimes learn to forgive and forget. And I think that's what we need to do for Rich.
Don't you want to add anything onto that? The way
So you have in a team environment, you've got that family and that tradition, right? And that's why people stay loyal. In the fan base, you have a family and a tradition, but you don't know the people, right? You know them from the media, you know them from what you see on TV or what the storylines are, and the fans and maybe other people lost that trust when Rich did what he did. And they're letting a silly little word called pride get in their way of saying, hey, you know what? Let's bring him back to the family. If it plays out that way, right? But you can't let silliness of pride get in the way of somebody who is a true Mountaineer.
Exactly. And what I'm really talking about right now is, Neal Brown's the coach. I'm with there. I'm on that Neal Brown train. All right. But what I'm saying is bring him back in the family. Is that, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, bring him back. If Neal Brown goes, he would be my first pick right off the bat. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I'd be right there, and you'll be hearing my mouth running on it. That's for darn sure. But with him coming back, it's like, forgive, man. It's forgive. He has said he's sorry, that he's disappointed. He's shown his regret. What do they want to do? Flog him to the streets? And whip stuff at him, and you know what I mean? It's like whip apples and tomatoes, and and have him do the walk of shame. Come on now, you know what I mean? There's a lot more people in this world that are screwed up, and forgiveness is a good thing. And he is a family member, no matter what. I've always been taught, whether it's a person that's gone astray, you welcome them back, and they come back. They want to come back, and that's it. And you know what? He's earned it, in my opinion. I say to heck with the people that are going to hate. That's what I say, just period. I'll leave it alone at that. And if you guys want to say something on top of that, go ahead.
Once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer.
Here you go. Cal, anything?
That's it.
All right. Very good. Enough said then. There we go. Hey, my guy, you guys didn't know this, but in the Coliseum, when Nick Saban was the coach here at WVU, the coaches were in the Coliseum. My office was Nick Saban's office for 10 years.
Everybody's got to buy into the standard. You got to have positive energy and attitude about it, and everybody's got to be responsible for their own self-determination, which means accountability. Once you define all these things, you got to make people be accountable to it. And if you think that not confronting people who don't do the right things is helping your organization, you're absolutely wrong.
Oh, he said wrong, man. What do you say to that, Coke?
You got to be accountable. You have an accountability to yourself. You have an accountability to your organization. You have an accountability to your family. And like I actually spin it around and say it's really a responsibility, right? Accountability means somebody's telling you need to do it. Well, if you stand up and own it, you're being responsible. So responsibility is what drives actions, what drives results, and what drives people to be successful. Accountability is what gets people bitching and complaining.
Ooh, Cal, follow that one up. Go ahead.
And I'll say it very quickly. Listen to that from Saban almost reminded me of listening to Don Nillen. You're going to be responsible. You're going to be accountable. And if you're not, then he's going to let you know about it. And I said, I think that made me who I am today. Just those things from Coach Nillen. I think you have to be accountable. You have to be responsible. So I'm 100% in on that.
Yep, I am too. And maybe it's not all the coach's fault. Just maybe. Maybe there's other people that need to go ahead and take some responsibility and accountability for lack of success. Not just saying the players, but everybody. Everybody from the top, even the traders. Maybe you're not taping the right way. Maybe the sports information director's not writing the right words. All right, because everybody's got to be on the same page. All right. Hey, we got anybody out here who wants to say anything? Anyone here? Let's see. Brad, I'm looking at this. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Rivalries. Rich Rodriguez. There's a Rich Rodriguez. Here we got Buck Rollins, never afraid to say anything. He's still a great coach. Just wish people of West Virginia would just forgive. Well, hallelujah to that one. I'm all about that. I agree. And I think you two would say the same thing. All right. Kind of funny that Rich wanted to sell advertising. Okay. So basically, he's saying is, what Rich was saying back then is where they are now. I mean, I guess you could say he's a little ahead of his time. I don't know. But, I mean, that's what he's saying. Good point, Mike. And one more time. And he says he's replying to Mike Rollins. Okay. At the stadium, and the old AD would not hear of it. Okay. We've heard that one before, too, as well. All right, gentlemen. Here we go. So this is your prediction time. Okay. It's Tuesday. You've looked at everything. You looked up Penn State. You know what it's like to play there. You know the obstacles that they have. What say you, gentlemen? What say you? Cal, I'm going to go with you first because I went with Koken, the other hard one.
I'm going West Virginia 28-21.
28-21. Woo! All right, man. Can you add anything? Who gets the winning score?
As far as
Garrett Green with a throw, Garrett Green rushing, is it a running back? CJ Johnson.
I think CJ Donaldson runs it in for a winning score.
Is that a 4th and 2 from the 2? All right, Coke, what say you?
John Ray gave a reply out there. You probably should look at that.
No, what did he say? Go ahead. You can if you can read it. Go ahead.
Bud Light would be a good sponsor.
Bud Light would be a good sponsor. Hey, absolutely, John Ray. You know what? You only drank about 1 million of them.
And that was last weekend. So I think it's a tighter game because of Penn State's defense, and I think our defense is really going to rise up. It's 24-20. WVU is down 2017. Fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, WV has the ball. We get inside the 10. We're not going to run the ball. We're going to try and throw the ball. Garrett Green scrambles and scores.
Uh-oh. I'm going to watch that one.
Put it on the legs. I'll tell you that. I'll take it if that happens, man. All right. I am not going to go ahead and give my prediction yet because I have to go all the way till Saturday with the pregame. All right. But I'm going to tell you this. What are you guys doing for the game? What are you doing, Cal?
I've already set up shop. It's 9 o'clock Saturday morning. I'm getting ready for football, so I'll be home watching it.
You'll be home watching. What about you, Coke?
My nephew is getting married.
What?
Whoa.
He's a Buckeye. That explains a lot, right? So he's and when all this went down, we made sure that there's going to be TVs at the reception because I've got my Mountaineer family ready to go.
Gotcha. Well, hey, you know what? I mean, it won't suck at a wedding. I mean, it's good, right? Everybody will be happy. Right. And you're up there, you're having a dance. You take your wife out for a dance, and then you get rocking and rolling, and you really start grooving, and then you watch the game. I mean, what else could be better?
What an end to that wedding when the last song is Country Roads.
Oh boy, hey, you know what? You're good. You are good at what you do. Cal, hey, love you, man. Great to have you on. We're gonna bring you back. We got panels that we do here, just like we do here, and we throw you under the gun, man. Put you out there for Rich Rod, all that good stuff. I'm sure Rich Rod will appreciate. Go, same to you, man. Thank you so much. Hey, two guys. 1988, played for a national championship. They were seniors. They led the Mountaineers and one of the golden eras of WVU football history. These are the guys that made it count. These are the guys that got us there, all of us, all of it, Mountaineer Nation, us, me, as a teammate, all of us. These are the guys. So we thank you so much. And we all love WVU, and we're all going to keep fighting for WVU. And that's why you're going to come back on the WolfMan's Call.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Dale.
thanks for having us, Dale. Love you, brother. You too, Cal. Good to see you.
Love you both. Take care now.
Take care.
All right. Whew, I'll tell you what, man. There's nothing like teammates. There's nothing like them. I can tell you. I can remember Coke. Hey, you know what? I can remember Coke telling me so many things. I got a whole list of things I could go over. But the one thing he told me was when we were running, and it was called fifths. It was after 2-a-days, the last practice, and then you had to run around the entire field. That's 350. We had to do 5 of those. So offense would do one and had like 60 seconds. Coach Neal would count off, or I can't remember if it was I think it was Coach Neal, yeah. And then the defense would be doing like, jumping jacks or up, down, sit-ups, whatever. I mean, it's the worst. 2-a-days. You had already a morning practice. You ran 1500s after the morning practice with full gear on, and you had, and then you went ahead in the afternoon practice, and you got going. And now it's like the end. It's like it's throw up. It's puke time. That's what it is. Puke, and it just could go at anywhere at any time. And I remember Coach saying is, "Move your can, freshman. Move it. Because if we didn't finish, we're going to have to run it again in time. We had to finish under 63 seconds or something like that. And Coach's like, move it, freshman, because he did not want to run. And I'm going to tell you this. You see him now, all right? You see him now, and you see that he's like could be a running back, whatever. He's like a thin dude when he used to be a big dude, like, center, a big offensive lineman. That's how he used to run. He could run forever, like a deer. What? He's 280 pounds. He couldn't run that. Who runs? Nobody runs that way. It was disgusting. I couldn't stand him. All right. So, anyways, bottom of that. And Cal, I got to tell you something. You want to talk about fast? And the dude was just fast down there in Florida. Because I can remember him making some big receptions for us. What great teammates. Great stuff. I'm not done, though. I'm not done. I told you I was going to do some Neal Brown Press Conference. I have RPO of Penn State of last year as well. We're going to see it. We got to go to what? It's 5:27. Now, that went late. What those guys stayed on, to their credit, they stayed on a lot longer than I told them. I kind of fibbed a little bit. I didn't mean to, but, that's the way things work out. But they will come back. I'm positive. Let's go ahead and bring this up here now. Let's go ahead and look into this Neal Brown stuff, because I have to go ahead and see what his press conference was. I'll tell you what, Kevin Koken, he's on for Neal Brown, and so's Cal Phillips. It's cool to hear this for the guys, because you know what? It's a new year, and we believe in Neal Brown, and let's see what rock and rolls. But they're like me, got to show us, and they're like me. There's got to be a big boy in the room, big girl, whoever it may be, make decisions. An adult, go ahead. You know what? If you win, good, we'll keep you. If you lose, well, you're going to have to go in a different direction, because those big pants, those adult pants, are going to have to figure out that WVU needs to be in a better position than they are now. I think that's what we've come out with today. I think they would say, that, to summarize it all, that's a good summary. But we're behind the Mountaineers, and they came out with some predictions, man. I'll tell you, I'm a little surprised by them, but I'm going with it. It's good stuff. And let's go ahead and let's check this out with Neal Brown here. Opening line.
A ton of respect for Coach Franklin, what he did at Vanderbilt, and then now carrying on to Penn State. Offensively, who they are, they're multiple. I think they've done a really good job of of being able to run the football versus about anybody they've played. And they've Coach Yurcich, the OC, they're familiar with him from being at Oklahoma State, and really came up through the profession throwing the football. So he knows how to do both.
Oh, man, does he know how to do both? Let me tell you right now, last year, this Penn State team, all right, when you go ahead and you look at this here, when I see the offense, and I'm looking at number 10, Nicholas Singleton, okay, number 10 running back. He had over 1,000 yards, 1,061 to be exact. And then you look at the other, number 13, Katron Allen. He had 861 yards. And as Coke said earlier in the show, the other gentleman had 800 plus. So the early team, one of 10 teams at FBS to have 3 800 plus or more yards for running backs. All right, so what does that mean? Okay, so what he's saying is Coach Yurcich, okay, who was at Oklahoma State, so he's a Big 12. He comes from the air raid system, right? But now it's that evolving air raid. Air raid's not so much that Mike Leach pure air raid. That Dana Holgerson, when he first arrived at WVU air raid, is not exactly it anymore. It is not. It has evolved. The run is back, and at Penn State, let's say the run is predominant, especially with Drew Allard, if he's a starter, 6'5", 245 pounds. He had 60 throws last year, 35 completions. He's a 5-star guy that really, when you look at his arm, he really is 5-star when you see it. And he's active, he's good in the pocket, but he's not going to kill you in the run with his legs. He's not going to kill you that way. Maybe he can extend the play for a little bit, kind of like that Ben Roethlisberger that was shifty in the pocket. I might see a little bit of that in him. Certainly, I'm not saying he's Ben Roethlisberger. Please don't get that wrong. But I'm saying I can see a little bit where he can move in the pocket without really extending the play with legs, if you know the difference. All right, but I'm going to say this, man. This is what that defense is going to go. Coach is saying this. They have 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. Well, we're going to get to, but think about that run game. You have to stop the run, WVU, if you want any kind of chance. These running backs are lethal. This offensive lineman, Faluma, or whatever his name is, at left tackle, dude's a dude, first-round draft pick. The center is a stud. All right, the right tackle, he's going to go in the NFL draft, not the first day, probably round 3 or 4. All right, they're 320 pounds. We average 280. We got one guy that's 309, and that's what's his name? Mike Lockhart. All right, so he's got 309. And Eddie Vestarian, I love him, but he's only 283. Okay, think about this when you look at it. You Jared Bartlett at the Bandit, who's got 236. Sean Martin, he's 291. Now that's a good size, 6'5". Now he's a 4-star guy that would come through who's really developed. So that's not bad. All right, so here we go. Stop the run, because Yurcich knows how to do it, and he knows how to just put the passes in there. But if you don't stop the run, you don't got a chance. It's got to stop it. You got to be able to tackle. All right. I'm waiting here for this to continue on.
Perbula, we know him from recruiting him really hard. He's athletic, extremely talented. And then Alar, he played well last year. He played almost 150 snaps last year, so he's played and had to play in their opener last year in a tough situation, and he proved himself last year. Receivers, they lost a lot, but they're really talented. They've got a number of guys they can play, and they've got good speed that they've added through the portal, and so it's kind of them on offense.
Yeah, no doubt. Talk about the receivers. Now, here's the deal. All right, you can say the same thing about West Virginia because you got all these new guys in. So are they gelling? Because when you look at Dante Cephas, he's a transfer in. He's the one, I believe, at Kent State. And then, we have Harrison Wallace, a redshirt sophomore. And Dante Cephas, he is a senior transfer from Kent State. And then you got Harrison Wallace, 19 receptions. So there's not a lot there. And then you got Keandre Lambert-Smith, number 1. Okay, he's a senior as well with 24. So the receivers don't have a ton of experience, but they're talented. All right, except for the one receiver there from Kent State. So I'm not sure he's Penn State level. Kent State, we'll see about that. But obviously our defenders are going to have to stop that, but it's about the run, man. About the run. You know what? If I had a game plan, I'd shut down the run and say, all right, Alar, you're a first-time starter. You're going to have to beat this Mountaineer team because we're taking your best thing away, the run. We're taking it away. You know who else does that? Belichick for the Bill Belichick for the Patriots. That's what he does. Takes away what you do best and say, you beat us with number 2 or number 3 option. That's the deal. That's what the Mountaineers have to do. And that's the way it should be. What's up now? Okay, next one. Come on now. I didn't space about this long, did I?
Defensively, I think Manny's one of the top defense coordinators in the country. You know, his track record speaks for himself. You know, they'll probably be the most talented group we play. You know, and I may be conservative in this, but they got 9 draft picks probably in there too deep.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? 9 draft picks in the 2 deep. Yeah, I talked with Koken and Cal about that. And this defense, they are top 5 defense. They are legit. You know, you go ahead and you look at Super Freak, Kalen King, cornerback. They're going to be a first-round draft pick. You look at Chop Robinson, who's a junior transfer. Looks like he's going to be their stud. I mean, look at these guys, man. You know, the right defensive end. You know, Isaac, solid. And I'm seeing juniors and seniors. I'm seeing a redshirt sophomore here for number 41. That's King, but you know he's an incredible linebacker. So he's redshirt sophomore, 3rd year, probably COVID, so he might be 4th year with that. But again, Manny Diaz, he's a gambler. He's a gambler. What does that mean? He wants to bring the heat. Now, I talked to Tom Bradley about that, you know, the defensive coordinator. He's up there at Penn State. He's doing the coin toss. You know, the one that's on the show here. He's doing the coin toss because he coached at WVU and he coached at Penn State. So here we go.
Teams are back. At corner, they've got the King kid who's you know, in all the early mock draft stuff is a first-round pick. And the other kids played a lot, and I think they feel really good about him too. And so, very, very talented group.
Okay, very talented group. He's talking about Johnny Dixon, the right quarterback. Then, of course, we talk about Kalen King. You know, we all know about Joey Porter Jr. Came out of Penn State. They're used to those corners having a lot to them.
The teams are always solid. They're replacing all their specialists from a year ago. They have a tradition of being really good in their punt return game, and so not sure who that will be, but they've always been good there. And then Singleton's their kickoff returner. I mean, he took one to the house last year, and he's a threat anytime he touches it. And so for us, it's about getting ready to go play in a tough venue against a great opponent week 1. And
well, he's got that right. A tough venue, great opponent week 1. They are legit, folks. For the Mountaineers to go in there is going to be very, very difficult. And it's not just because of the talent level, okay? It's not. I'm going to end with that one right there with Coach Brown's press conference, and we'll pick up more of that tomorrow. Right after Coach Jay Paterno comes on tomorrow, we'll pick up here with Neal Brown, finish off that press conference. But, you know, when you look at that and you look at the obstacles, and I really thought Cal and Coke did a nice job of telling you it is tough to play there. Probably the most difficult place that they played. I mean, I remember Cal and Coke, we played at Ohio State, and I don't think Ohio State was tough, and they're really good, but I don't think it was crazier than Penn State. I think Penn State was the loudest, the rowdiest that I've ever been in any stadium. And that's just me, in my opinion. So it's a huge thing, but you got to play smart. You can't let all this. So first of all, you have these really good football players. They're fast, they're strong, and they're old. This is an older Penn State team, except for when you look at the running backs, who are very powerful at 6 foot 225. Okay, very powerful. but the offensive line is old. The defensive line is old. And that's where the manpower comes in. And it's in the trenches. And that's what you really got to worry about. And, you know, when you think about that, and then you think of the speed, because they're all good athletes, right? Really good athletes. So then you put the noise on there and the stupid as the Nittany Lion roar, and they do it every single time. It's a first down, and all you want to do is say, shut up! Shut that thing up! Well, there's one way you shut it up. You know what you do? You go and you score, and you start winning, and guess what? There's not so many. Okay, you know why? Because there's nothing good going on. That's the best thing you can do is hope that you don't hear the lion very many times at Happy Valley, because that means they're having a bad day. A bad day. All right, my friends, it's already too late. I'm going to do the RPO. So tomorrow we're going to have former Penn State coach Jay Paterno, the son of Joe Paterno. He coached 16 years with his father. He was a quarterback there at Penn State. And he's also, he does Nittany Lion Week. They go out to 34 million TVs. I mean, it's a weekly show he does with Tom Bradley, the scrap, the coach. And then he also does Pigskin Stew Radio on NIA 970 ESPN. And that's every Thursday at 6 o'clock, which I am on. Yours truly. I do the West Virginia roundup for him. And there's a Penn State and a Pitt guy. And they give us all equal time, but it's pretty cool. It's on 970 ESPN. And let's see what else. He'll be on tomorrow, 4:05. We'll get right to him. And then tomorrow, we'll go ahead. We're going to do more Neal Brown Press Conference. Hopefully I get get some Twisted in there. Rooster talking a little bit SEC. Hopefully on Thursday we get some Tony Altimore. And don't forget about Cover 2 data. We're going to be showing you those advanced analytics with the breakdown. And what you know what it said today? This is what it came out with today. Syracuse is a lock, 6.5 games. Lock. That's your lock pick of the year for Cover 2 data. Pretty cool. And we're going to be telling you what the locks are for WVU's opponents and the big games of the week, according to the data and my expertise, knowledge. All right. Very good, everybody. Listen, God bless you all, man, and have a great day. Is anyone else out there wants to jump on or say anything? You got any questions? This is your time to go ahead and do so. I got to do this. This is the network, and we got a big pregame show coming up here on Saturday, right? Pregame show. And that's going to be at the Pallet Sports Bar down in Scott Depot. And we love it. It's going to be 6 o'clock broadcasting it. And we're going to be rocking and rolling 6 to 7, close to game time. It's only on the network, on the Voice of College Football, West Virginia network, on YouTube, network for these restaurants. So if you want to watch the WolfMan's Call, the breakdown, you want to get that Cover 2 data, get your betting line, all that stuff. You want to watch the film breakdown, I'm going to break down all that Penn State stuff for you. All that Penn State. We already broken down WVU. We've already broken down Garrett Green, Nico Markey. Already broken down the defensive line. Already broken down the DBs. Already broken down the offensive line. Right? That's what we did all up to this. Now it's time to break Penn State down. Show their strengths. Show their weaknesses. Show what the Mountaineers have to do. I know the game plan to win. I know what it is. Can the Mountaineers do it? It's a tall task. That's not an impossible task. Not impossible. All right. What do you say? Archies up there, East Carson Street, Pittsburgh. Yeah, we love you being part of the network. Same to you. Route 22 Sports Bar. Happy 4th anniversary. Check out the specials there. They got great prices, great deals. Right there in Weirton, West Virginia. Calacino's Pizzeria. Oh, Pizzeria and Sports, but I love pizzerias, man. And down there in Beckley. And then you got Cantrell's, River City Grill and Pub. Right in Hinton, West Virginia. I'll tell you, you should see the view out back on the river. Woo, pretty nice. Legend Sports Bar up there, Cheat Lake. Out there, hitting the links out there, Lakeview. Aaron gives you. They love you. And then Danny's down there in Princeton, West Virginia. Way down there at the bottom of the state. Mountaineers, man. Oh, gold and blue. And then, of course, you have Kegler's up here in Morgantown. True WVU royalty. Jerry, Greg, Steve Lorenz, Dougie, everyone there at Kegler's, man. Love you. Mason Jar Saloon, Steve Reese, moving on out. We're going to see who's coming in. I think they're going to continue on there with Mason Jar and Hotspot. Hopefully they continue on the network. I'm counting on you. Let's go, Steve Reese, because you also got the Mason Jar Barbecue and more down in Fairmont. So you're going ahead. You're moving on south, and we're getting new people coming in. Same thing, same part of the network. And then you got Mountaineer Tap House. Bell! Got that closed captions. Good job there. Right there at Oakland Street in Motown. A lot of students out there coming around. Appreciate what you guys do. And I know you're having a big watch party Saturday night for the students there for Country Roads at the Tap House. That's cool, man. And then, of course, you got Jimbo's. So nice they did it twice, right? Jimbo's place in Elkins, Jimbo's place in Buckhannon. We were there for the grand opening in Buckhannon. Love the food, man. Great atmosphere. And then, of course, you got the pitch down in Dunbar. Awesome, awesome place. Dunbar, West Virginia, I should say. And then finishing up, Brickside Bar and Grille. Eat local. Man, the pregame Saturday, 6 o'clock. You got to watch it. Okay, go sign up to the Voice of College Football West Virginia. It's all network. You got to do the network, man, if you want to see the coolest pregame going. And you'll see why. You'll be the smartest one in the room when it comes to football. All right. That's it. Anybody else? Nobody else? It's time. Put your big boy pants on and play ball. There you go. Timothy, time to put your big boy pants on. I couldn't have said it any better. And what about this? All right, Pod. Great show. Thank you, brother. That's because of Cal. That's because of Coke and their great knowledge and the way they bring it. All right. That's it, everybody. How about this? How about a little bit of a Zach Frazier to close your day off? We are getting closer, my friends. Every day is closer. Get the blood starting to boil. It's okay now. It's just simmering, right? It's simmering. Monday, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We're going to talk to the enemy, Jay Paterno, right? All right. Good dude. But now the sides are being taken. What side are you on, right? Well, we know I'm on WVU side, but it's going to go simmer. Oh, it's going to rise up. And the blood's going to come up. And the Mountaineers are going to come out. And that's what they have to do. Right, Zach Frazier?
Hi, I'm Zach Frazier from Fairmont. And when I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginians. Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia, always in stock. How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.
West Virginia United.